Chapter 10, A Problem Here. Ronway Atkinson arrived for a church meeting at Wiener Kellerstein's farm in October 2004 with all of his Bandidos paraphernalia, including his patch and vest in a plastic bag. It was obvious what he was doing. Whether or not Crash was coming with him, Atkinson was leaving the club. A friend had warned him that quitting the club could bring on a beating, but he obviously wanted out. If they got a problem with me, then they'll have to confront me about it, Ronway had replied to his friend. Boxer was still on a high from the previous month when the Bandidos opened up a new chapter in Calgary, taking in the former rebels. Boxer was in the mood for praise and heady talk of further expansion, not quitting. Atkinson could smell liquor as he was greeted inside Kellerstein's barn with a collective cold shoulder. It was clear that Boxer had a nose full of cocaine. Wiener Kellerstein, Crash Kryrakis, Frank Lenti, Bam Bam Salerno, and Chopper Raposo were all there, but Boxer was clearly the man in charge. "Could I talk to you outside?" Boxer asked. Atkinson was on his way out the door when Boxer sucker punched him from behind. Boxer might have once been a promising leader, but now he was no more than a loose cannon. Sucker punching a brother was worthy of Wiener Kellerstein, not the old Boxer. It was evidence that Boxer had changed, and not for the better. Kellerstein quickly joined in, stuffing a pistol in Atkinson's mouth and adding blows of his own. As he lay on the ground, Atkinson caught a glimpse of Chopper Raposo and Bam Bam Salerno looking away, while Crash Kryrakis stared, horror-struck and frozen, directly at the beating. "Get up," someone eventually ordered, and Atkinson was handed a rag to wipe off the blood. He drove himself to a hospital where his face was stitched up and he was told his ribs were broken. Within a few months, Atkinson had accepted a striker's patch with the Outlaws, a probationary rank that put him on track for full membership. Atkinson had been respected by the top Bandidos in Texas. Now, Boxer had lost a potential advisor and diplomat, and didn't even seem to know that he was listing closer to disaster. Despite the warnings from prairie bikers who had ominously told Chopper to watch the papers for word about the former Alberta rebels, who now wore fat Mexican patches, the news still seemed to come like a bolt out of the blue, and it hit the club hard. Just 3 months after Boxer's Western tour, reports detailed how his prairie expansion drive had crashed in flames. All it had taken was for the Hells Angels to dangle the promise of membership in front of the newly minted Alberta Bandidos, and they were gone. Suddenly, all of the Albertans' talk of Bandido brotherhood had been cast aside in favor of a better offer from the club's sworn enemies. It shouldn't have been surprising considering the increasing isolation of the Toronto Bandidos. But even dreading the worst does not take away its sting when it comes to past. Some of the Alberta rebels had only been Bandidos for a month, and it seemed as though the fat Mexican patch had been nothing more than a bargaining chip to be leveraged into acceptance into the Hells Angels. The humiliation was difficult to ignore, especially for Boxer. It was easy to blame the Presidente for the fiasco. He obviously hadn't impressed the Albertans. As a final indignity, when Boxer ordered the Albertans to give back their new Bandido patches, they replied with the words to the effect of, "Come and get 'em." Lenti quit in disgust soon after that, handing in a box of souvenir support t-shirts and jewelry bearing the fat Mexican logo. No one had the nerve to lift a hand against Cisco Lenti as he walked away. No one could count on coming out on top in a fight with Lenti, not even Boxer, and guys who went toe-to-toe with the veteran bikers sometimes came away with one less functioning eye. This time, it was the former Bandido who was looking for trouble on the wrong way out the door. Lenti went after Boxer, and it took a crew of his former brothers to restrain him. It would be easy to later wonder if Boxer's fate might have played out differently had 2004 not ended with the loss of 2 of his best and most experienced men, Atkinson the diplomat and Lenti the warrior. In a face-saving move, the club executive maintained that they had kicked Lenti out of the chapter. Kellerstein even managed to sound righteous as he sent out an email explaining that there were good reasons for stripping someone from full patch status. I'd like to mention something here about old school and what I believe an MC motorcycle club is. Heart and loyalty. Have it or fuck off. Need I say more? Brother, if someone should lose their patch and be demoted to prospect, there is a reason for that. You fucked up. Everyone is a part of the wheel that keeps the club going, continued Kellerstein, who signed Sergeant at Arms, Canada, after his name. The November 2004 minutes of the Ontario officers of the Hells Angels indicate that the big club was aware of the tensions within the Bandidos and that some of them wanted to offer lengthy membership. A note under General states, vote on Frank issue was yes 72, no 69, did not pass. As the weather turned cold, the heady joy of Boxer's summer western tour was already a distant memory, and it was easy to wonder how many others in the No Surrender crew would also like to quit, if they could only summon the nerve. The departure of Lenti should have been a wake-up call, but Boxer somehow seemed even cockier, like a nervous man whistling past a graveyard. He sometimes drank at a bar in the Queen and Broadview neighborhood of Toronto, perhaps because it was a popular hangout with the Paradise Riders, members who hadn't passed over to the Hells Angels. Late one evening, when Boxer was staggeringly drunk, the bartender cut him off. Boxer hit back with a torrent of abuse. "What's the problem?" a Paradise Rider asked. "Mind your own fucking business," Boxer replied. The lower the Toronto Bandidos sank, the greater their sensitivity over minor slights. Seconds later, the Paradise Rider lay crumpled on the floor, dropped by a sucker punch from a Carlito Aragon. Boxer joined in and gave the PDR member a few more hard shots. Word of the dust-up spread quickly from the PDR to the friends in the Hells Angels, and in the days that followed, Boxer blew off an attempt at Dientente by the Hells Angels. He seemed eager for any conflict that temporarily puffed up his importance, even if it jeopardized his future. He might not be able to beat the Hells Angels, but he could at least snub them. Concerns from south of the border increased once Atkinson left. On November 24, 2004, Bill Sartelli, the Texas-based worldwide secretario for the Bandidos, emailed Chopper Raposo with the troubling opening line. "Seems like we have a problem here." Like Sartell, Bandidos in Texas take themselves seriously. Many have fought overseas in the military, and all of them treat their colors and their reputation with the same grave respect soldiers feel for their units. Moreover, the American Bandidos provide the leadership for a club that has more than 2,000 members and 210 chapters spanning 16 countries. Sartell also had professional reasons to be proud, as he wasn't a gangster and made a legitimate six-figure income in the oil industry. So his tone was a little condescending as he continued. "You can't come here, we can't come there, but you don't want to answer any questions. There are issues that need to be resolved. I have made attempts to get these answers, but have not. The Hells Angels may be slightly bigger internationally, but the Bandidos are a serious organization with a global reach and the muscle to carve up territory. When their leaders ask a member a question, they expect a quick answer, and it better make sense. Since Ronway Atkinson left the club, the No Surrender crew had become even more isolated, and the Americans were growing more impatient by the moment. Sartell wanted to know what had happened to 60 sets of the Bandidos patches that had been sent to the Canadians. And when would the Americans get a current list of Canadian members and monthly donations? Chopper Raposo emailed back to the Americans that all is good, but of course, we have the odd problem that could be easily resolved. The exact nature of this problem or the proposed resolution remained a mystery, though not to Chopper. He knew there was a real problem, in fact, more than one. They had taken in members without the Americans' approval. They weren't up to date in their dues. They had been ignoring the Americans. They didn't even have all the motorcycles. They had a lot of explaining to do. Rather than work on mending their relationship with the Americans, the No Surrender crew focused on easier topics like Christmas cards and partying. This year, the Christmas cards were done by the end of November. They were nice enough, depicting a fat Mexican holding a machete and firing a pistol over the Toronto skyline against a red and gold background. At the No Surrender crew's holiday party that December, a disc jockey from Keswick named Frankie cranked up the rap music at a restaurant on Queen Street east of Broadview. It was a small, pleasant place, and Frankie was a friend of the club, working for free and happy to just be there. He cheerfully soaked in the good feelings and teed up the tunes until Wiener Kellerstein approached him. "Stop playing this ninja stuff," Kellerstein ordered. Play Leonard Skinner or something better than this shit, or I'll blow your foot off." The party lurched on, with more Leonard Skinner and no more rap music or pop. When Crash's wife Diane asked Frankie why there wasn't any more dance music, Celestine shot him a dirty look and Frankie kept on with the classic rock. It was the Nazi sympathizer in Celestine and not the man who preached brotherhood that was at the surface now. It was a week before Christmas and Wiener Celestine emitted a palpable and toxic fusion of negativity, hatred, and ambition. He was still under Boxer Musketeer in the club's pecking order and he still craved control. There was nothing friendly about his eyes that night at the Christmas party. They were eyes of the madman.